Hello, and welcome back to the Clap Podcast. As always, I'm here with Toby Yeomans. How are you, Toby?
I'm good. How are you, Will?
I'm great, and I'm really excited to talk about all things film and TV, as always.
Yes, exciting. What have you been watching this week?
I've been watching a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about. I've been watching... Did we watch this week for the podcast? Spaceman?
We watched Spaceman, yeah.
Spaceman. I watched Spaceman.
Very memorable, obviously.
Yeah. A little bit more of the Gentleman spin-off show. And I also watched Arrival again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, because we're going to be talking about Denis Villeneuve this week.
Of course.
I think I said his name wrong.
Did you say, yeah?
Villeneuve.
You were telling me this. How am I meant to say it?
I think it's Villeneuve? Denis. I'm just going to call him Denis. Denis. He is my favourite director. I do owe him to say his name right, and I apologise for that.
Yeah.
But if anyone's seen the Jimmy Kimmel interview that he did for Dune Part 2, he does correct Jimmy on how to say it, and I've forgotten how to do it now. I apologise.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Can't believe you did that.
It's absolutely disgraceful. But anyway, what have you seen this week, Toby?
I too have been watching some of the films that were assigned to me as homework. No, I'm kidding. I watched Spaceman as well. I remembered it. I watched Incendies, which is another one of Denis' film. I'm not even going to try the last name. And then I watched Tron Legacy. I actually watched that after we recorded the last podcast because on the way home, someone was playing the soundtrack to me.
That was me.
And I had a bit of a nostalgia hit, so I decided I have to rewatch it.
Yes. I love Tron Legacy. It's so good.
It's good. It doesn't hold up. Like, it's an enjoyable film, but like the CGI, it's just the like face morphing on I forget the actor's name.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. And it's just you get a little bit like, what's going on here?
I feel like that's like the Back to the Future to me. Like, you know, when your parents go like, the films grow up with like Back to the Future, Star Wars. I feel like Tron Legacy is that for me. It's that movie that I will rewatch with my dad hundreds of times. Recently saw it in IMAX.
Yeah. Just
love that movie. Whenever it re-releases, whenever it gets, mentioned, I just have to go, yeah, I'm going to watch that again.
No, I can see that. I enjoyed it. I have a lot of nostalgia for it as well. Hence I had to watch it after just hearing like half the soundtrack. But
incredible soundtrack, and it's disappointing to me that Daft Punk aren't going to come back for the third.
Daft Punk. Yeah.
Whoever the composer is, they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. That's a bad way of putting it, but they do have expectations.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Should we get into the news of the week?
Yeah, we certainly can.
So this week in news, we have an announcement that a live-action Watch Dogs film is in the works. This is based on the video game of the same name. Sophie Wilde is, who was previously in A24's Talk to Me.
Yes.
Great performance in that.
You're going to have to remind me. Was
the
she
lead.
the lead? Yeah,
the lead.
Yeah, she was fantastic in it, yeah.
Yeah, and so she is set to star in the film, and it's being produced by New Regency.
Okay, that's exciting.
You played the games, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
I haven't played the Watch
Watch
Dogs games.
Dogs?
No, because Watch Dogs 2 came out, and I didn't want to spend $80 on a game that I wasn't sure if it was going to be good. But I've heard good things about it, so I'm sure I'll be keen to see the movie for it. Maybe I'll get the game beforehand. We'll see. But you've played them, obviously.
Big fan of them.
Yeah.
Love them. I played the first one after the second.
Okay.
In a weird way. So I the second one, because it was newer when I had, the new gaming console.
Yeah,
it
of
was.
course.
And so I bought that and played that and loved it. So I went back and sort of purchased the first one.
Yeah.
And I've actually played both all the way through the story at least twice.
Oh, that's good.
I think they're really good.
How do you feel about video game movies, though? Because we saw the likes of Assassin's Creed, and like, obviously, I didn't think the film was terrible. I don't think it translates the video games all that well. What do you think is going to happen with Watch Dogs?
I think Watch Dogs is a really good narrative. Like,
Yeah.
it has a great story in it. When I say great, obviously we've seen better, Red Dead, things like that, have really brilliant stories. But Watch Dogs, for me, is very interesting. This sort of group of elite hackers taking down the system and all that. I just think there's a lot of fun to be had in that world. Obviously, they should try and apply it to a bit more of a real-world scenario and situation. It's kind of, it's set in San Francisco, the second one. I can't remember the first one. But I know that video game adaptations haven't been great in the past, but we've seen a lot of success with, like, Mario recently.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, whilst it's not a great film, I do have a lot of enjoyment in it. I just think they should have spent more time in the world of the Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
But look, there's been some good ones, there's been some bad ones, but ultimately I think Watch Dogs, a bit like, in my opinion, things like Red Dead and God of War can be translated to And we've got a lot more coming out. We've got Minecraft in the works.
Yeah, that's
There
interesting.
is a God of War adaptation, apparently.
I heard they're looking at The Rock.
The Rock.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
I feel like that's too obvious to me. It's too, let's get a big mainstream
actor. How do I
actor.
say this like respectfully? Kratos is white. Like painted white. Like are they painting The Rock white?
Why don't they just get the voice actor? I mean, he's been at all the awards shows and stuff for the game, and he won awards for his performance in the game. I feel like, why not just get the character himself?
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, I think it's interesting that you are seeing a lot of these games come out. You talked about Super Mario Bros. The movie, and I don't know if you heard about this, but the Chris Pratt curse is spreading across animation. There's a new Garfield trailers come out, and he's voicing Garfield.
I didn't know that.
You did not know that one. I saw it very briefly. And you know, Chris Pratt, he put a voice on for Mario, didn't he? I'm sure he's going to do Garfield the same justice.
He's very charismatic, but wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
I think there's going to be like a cinematic universe of animated characters voiced by Chris Pratt. We're going to have what's next? We've got Garfield, we've got Mario. Who's someone else you can see Chris Pratt playing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe this week our listeners should comment that on the Instagram post.
Yeah.
Who do you see Chris Pratt
voicing?
Playing? Yeah, voicing in the next animated feature.
Yeah,
based on a video game, likely.
Yeah, no, that's
or a previous IP.
It is very funny. In other news, the holdovers, has been accused of plagiarism by writer Simon Stephenson. He claims he had a script called Frisco.
That's what he's saying.
Frisco.
Yep.
And he says that the director had read the script. And it's very similar to the holdovers. To the extent that this is true. Who knows? It's certainly an interesting accusation to throw out. I think the holdovers had a very successful run in the past year, so it's interesting that he's talking about it now. I think that would be the main point of contention if you're saying, like, why bring it up now? Like, why not when the movie was, premiering and such? Maybe he did. But yeah, it's in current news, so we'll be observing what happens with that one there, but...
Yeah, I think it was really during the Oscars race that the news started to pick up a bit of steam. I mean, to be honest, I feel like if this was a real major story, we'd hear more about it.
Yeah.
At the moment, it seems more like an accusation that hasn't necessarily been proven to be found.
Yeah.
He has taken social media, I've seen that, and even shown comparisons of the script. He's kind of done dot points showing the similarities. Yeah, ultimately, I just feel like I can't think we can give our opinions yet.
I think the most neutral sense you can have, it's a shame if someone's work has been plagiarized, not only just for the person whose work has been stolen, but also for the people that put a lot of work into creating a film, and they might not have had the knowledge that they are contributing to the theft of someone else's work. So in that sense, if the claims are true, there's a lot to be disappointed about. But just because, to the extent that we know whether the claims are true or not, there's not much more that we can say about that one there. But we'll go on to some more exciting news. Universal and DreamWorks have confirmed that Shrek 2 is returning to theatres next month for the 20th anniversary of the film.
Woo!
20 years since Shrek 2. My God, I am old.
That's so cool.
Released same year after Us.
Wow.
That's the best way to say it.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I swear I grew up on Shrek 2, but I guess I was 1 year old when it was released. That's crazy.
But but you never hear anyone our age saying I saw Shrek in the movie theaters until the third. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose I don't even think I saw the third in the movie theaters.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was when it came on DVD and stuff like that, and everyone's family had a copy of it, and it was just played in everyone's houses like crazy.
Yeah, but that is some exciting news. Maybe get around with your friendship group, go watch the Shrek 2 re-release. I
will say, I think it's worth commenting. We've had a lot of re-releases recently. So you got the Phantom Menace. I mean, that's even coming to IMAX.
Yeah.
June Part 1, obviously, before June Part 2. But you see studios doing this. Even a later announcement we're going to make, that A24 are looking at re-releasing some of their films. So it's interesting how studios are kind of deciding that the theatrical experience is back since COVID, and people are willing to go see films that you can kind of watch at home now, but people are valuing that theatrical experience and are willing to go and pay for that.
No, that's a very good point. I was going to say that looks like cinemas may be back. At least production companies are thinking they're enough to re-release a lot of things there. So that's very exciting news there, I think.
Yeah. keeping on with sort of the conversation, we just mentioned Dune, but there's a fun little fact I found out about Dune Part 2, and I thought our listeners and you might be interested. So, for those of you who have seen it, there's something called the Water of Life. Won't go into what it does, no spoilers here, but apparently it was created using UV blue raspberry vodka. And I just thought that was really fun to know that in that, vial, you've got vodka. And I just thought that was a fun little fact.
Do you reckon that was intentional, or did Timothée Chalamet sneak a little something on set?
Oh, maybe.
Naughty.
To be fair, I would think I'm the Lassane Al-Gaib after a bit of blue raspberry vodka as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's an impressive acting feat to, like, if it's just straight vodka, putting that away, and then maybe the pass out was genuine. Maybe that's why he did such a good performance.
But actors aren't actually allowed to drink vodka, so it must be like, when you see it going through the tube and, when it's just shots of the vial itself, that must be vodka, because actors aren't really allowed to drink on set because it's a workplace.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was a fun little fact, that's how they got that, because it's a bit dense as kind of a liquid, and that it must be that and a combination of vodka, and it just gives it that effect.
That makes sense. My question is, it's the final day of filming. You've just filmed the last scene. How much are you drinking of that?
Oh, I'm downing
the entire thing?
Downing that blue raspberry vodka. That is being tucked away.
That's a very fair answer.
I am drinking the water of life.
The water of life. Moving on, there is reports that a Harry Potter TV series is set to debut on Max, it's
HBO Max.
HBO Max, thank
now
you.
Named Max.
Just called Max. It's not set to release till 2026, so there is no other news about that. But for Harry Potter fans, people who enjoy the content, there's going to be more of that coming out for you guys a little while away. And
I think J.K. Rowling got involvement, but not. I don't think it's necessarily a direct involvement. It's sort of going. It's like looking over the script, things like that. That I could be wrong. They haven't sort of said a lot. We don't know.
Yeah.
Have they announced cast members? I think they were there was sort of rumored cast members, because this has been announced for a while, but it's now kind of been confirmed by the CEO.
Yeah.
That they've got a plan for a 2026 release. So it just shows that it is definitely the pipeline. Yeah,
it's interesting that you say J.K. Rowling is back, or perhaps back and involved with the series. I know a lot of people, very contentious individual, J.K. Rowling. So for those who are in the know, there was a lot of contention around the release of the video game last year. What was it called? Hogwarts Legacy. And a lot of people were either refusing to buy the game or asking the game be refused because of J.K. Rowling's possible association with it. The contention comes around her being actively transphobic. So obviously for the community that is greatly affected for that, I understand why that is. For the people that are looking at it purely objectively with the story, it might be better that she's involved with the writing, because obviously the Harry Potter books are so significant in what they achieved. But yeah, if you're wondering about the politics of it all, it'll be interesting to see what unfolds if she is truly involved.
I think I definitely, and I understand all that, but looking from an objective point of view for a second, I think her involvement makes sense. That it is set in Hogwarts. It's not some kind of spin-off.
Yeah.
It's directly in the world that we know, and there's no one who knows that world better than J.K. Rowling, despite, all the controversy around her. And I'm not going to give, that's its own thing. I just mean purely from her storytelling point of view and her know-how of the world of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't blame the studio for wanting at least her take on the script, even if it's just, sort of she reviewed it and went, these things don't make sense in my ideology of the world. And I think that's an involvement that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'll just make a very brief statement and try and keep it as respectful as possible. I think when we're saying objective, we're not being the objective truth. We're talking about narrative perspective. If you're removing the image of J.K. Rowling and you're just talking about the script or the writing, then that's what we're trying to talk about there.
Yeah.
When it comes to the transphobic things she said, and she said very great many things like that.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be personally responsible for consuming things that she's created in that sense. I don't want to be profiteering someone with those mindsets. But I think we'll leave it at that for the time being.
I'll just say one more thing. I think it comes back to that massive debate that's going on in Hollywood, which is removing the art from the artist.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, this isn't the time to go into all the thoughts on that, but I think it's worth noting for people that there could be an involvement by her.
Yeah.
we'll guess we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see more, and we'll tell you. And if you want to hold whatever position you want to have, absolute no disrespect to you. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, in other news, we also have Jesse Eisenberg. He has said that Now You See Me 3 is expecting to shoot fairly soon. He's seen the script and looks like it might be happening.
Interesting.
I didn't really know that this... I think this has been announced that Now You See Me 3 was coming, but
Yeah.
apparently it's supposed to start shooting fairly soon. I quite enjoy the Now You See Me films.
Yeah, they're interesting. I enjoyed the first one. I think it was at a time where it's like I wasn't watching films as much for the plot. Not to say it's a bad film in any respect, but like it's just an enjoyable flick about magicians.
I kind of like it.
Wizards.
I think, for me, you're right, that there are flaws in the plot, but I think it has really great sequences, and especially in the second one where they're doing that card.
Yeah, I
thing.
know. I get clips of that all the time.
Yeah.
And people are loving it.
It's very well done.
It's well done. I'm not a huge fan of the second film. I do think it's hilarious that Daniel Radcliffe plays like a person very opposed to magic.
That would have been a good segue from
that
the
would have been a really good
news story.
segue. I think we got a little bit too like depressing, but yeah, I thought that's like as ironic and kind of funny, and I respected it for that. But the second one I didn't think was as enjoyable as the first one. I feel like the first one had like, it's gonna sound so stupid, magic. It had a bit of magic to it that the second one was a bit lacking. So it'll be interesting to see where the third one goes.
I love the introduction of them as well,
Yeah,
and
really
I just think they're such a good group of characters. Woody Harrelson as well, just a great group of people, and Jesse Eisenberg also he plays the role well.
He's funny,
But yeah, there's some good news there.
No, there is some good news. Other good news: A24 has revealed a new film in the works with Ari Aster.
Yes.
So if that name rings a bell, he is the director of Hereditary, Midsummer, and Beau is Afraid. So there's some massive films there.
Great films.
Very good.
Especially the first two.
Yeah, first two fantastic films. I think my criticism of Hereditary is it falls apart in the third act, but Midsummer, certainly a complete and very powerful horror film.
Yeah.
But even looking at some of the names that are meant to be starring in this film, we've got some huge actors here. So Joaquin Phoenix, thank you. I knew it was, how do I say it?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, you got it. You got it.
Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, who's just won an Oscar, spoilers. Luke Grimes, he's another one. Austin Butler, he's everywhere. Gosh.
He's doing well at the moment.
Yeah. You're going to have to help me out with this next one here.
Honestly, it's
Deirdre O'Connell, Michael Ward, Clifton Collins Jr., and it's said to be coming soon.
That's all the information they're giving.
That's interesting. Oh, there's one more thing. It's meant to be a contemporary Western.
Do you buy that knowing Ari Aster?
Yes, absolutely.
Because he makes some out there films.
Yes. Just to give some context, contemporary Westerns, they're not the type of films that Ari Aster makes. That's your, I don't know, the good, the bad, the ugly type of film. Like, you know what a Western motif is? Like, it's that type of direction.
Who was the really big... he did a lot of Westerns. I want to say he did one called like Unforgiven or something. Or Forgiven.
You're the film buff?
Yeah, it'll come back to me. Don't worry.
just yell it out when I'm talking about something completely random. But yeah, no, so I'm excited for that one. There's not too much news to talk about beyond the actors and the director, obviously, but I think it's set up to be doing well.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I did know that
I'm
one.
right, aren't I? Yeah, he's did a lot of Westerns.
Tell Frosty is wrong just to make him feel bad about it. I don't know. It sounds right.
It sounds right.
It sounds right. Good enough.
Yep.
Other news, which is a little bit more disappointing, the Batman 2, the Matt Reeves Batman with Robert Pattinson starring, it has been pushed back to 2026 due to the Hollywood strikes. So it's been pushed back from October 3rd, 2025 to October 2nd, 2026.
Full year.
A full year.
I like the way it's a day difference too, which I found quite funny. But
yeah. It's disappointing.
It's disappointing. It really is. Especially the reasoning as well. As obviously, I'm so glad the strikes happened so that, the actors and the writers got fair pay.
Yeah.
The issue of AI has at least been pushed back for a while. I'm really glad that kind of we got a resolution to that issue, but it's a shame that we're sort of seeing the run-on effects of that, of some films having delayed productions.
Yeah, it's also interesting because it's meant to be a trilogy from what I'm hearing, the Batman they're going to do a trilogy.
That is correct. Yeah.
So when did the first one come out? It came out 2 years ago.
I want to say that's correct.
Yeah, like 4 years between the first two movies, and then you imagine that. Like that's a long time period to be extending out a trilogy from. Like Robert Pattinson, no disrespect to him, he's that's a fair bit of time to age for someone playing a main character. Like obviously, I think he was fantastic in the first one.
Yeah.
And depending on like what way they go, I'm sure like whatever they do, it's going to be hopefully as good. But it's just disappointing to see that film's getting pushed back. But for the sake that it will be good quality, I feel like I can deal with it.
I want to ask, who do you think the villain would be? Like, knowing the history of the Batman villains, I mean, I'd say the villains are sometimes as iconic as Batman himself. What direction do you think Matt Reeves will go in? I'm curious.
I think I heard it was going to be Hush. Is that his name?
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about. I did see this announcement.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be him, and he's meant to be like a sort of like a Batman-ish character, but like as a villain.
Okay.
Type of direction. I think that could be really interesting. It's an underused villain. I don't know the comics all that well. But I would be excited to see someone new. I think you gotta be so careful touching on the Joker, because he's not been done to death. But like the last time we saw the Joker, not Joaquin Phoenix, Suicide Squad Joker.
Oh, Jared Leto.
Yeah, like people were quite disappointed with that interpretation of the character.
But what about the deleted scene we saw? That was Barry Keoghan.
He could be good. He could be fantastic with it. But it's not even just a matter of the actor. Sometimes it's a matter of the script and the writing, just to see in what direction they go. I would like to see, and this is a very personal opinion, I don't know if you know what the Court of Owls is. I think Matt Reeves could do that brilliantly. Anyone who's a Batman fan, it's basically like a cult that's meant to be controlling Gotham from underneath.
Interesting.
I think that's a good direction that they could do for a very dark Batman interpretation. So I
feel like that's what this one is as well. So I think it would fit the mood.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
That's gonna be my prediction then. Everyone, when there's the Court of Owls in the Matt Reeves Batman, come back to me. I called it.
There weren't any like Easter eggs or something in the first one that you noticed that kind of indicated for that. You don't you remember in like the Amazing Spider-Man where you walk past and it was the suits of all the Sinister Six? Do you think there was anything like that?
I think the only one they really had was the deleted scene of the Joker. I think they save it for the last one. I don't think they're going to rush and put him in the middle. That would be too much like The Dark Knight Rises.
I always wondered if they'd do like a serious Mr. Freeze.
You can do a serious Mr. Freeze. Like
Scarecrow?
Scarecrow's a terrifying character.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Batman's got like a catalogue of such really good villains. Like Mr. Freeze, if anyone knows the story, it's like he's trying to save his dead wife. Scarecrow is just a lunatic, but like still really cool.
And they kind of use the Penguin as like a side character.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back up every now and then. Like it's just like a crime lord type of.
He's got that. He's going to be in that show, the spin-off Gotham show. So I think I don't see the Penguin being the main villain anytime soon. I see him supporting another villain.
Yeah. But yeah, we could talk about Batman villains all day.
We
but
could.
I'm excited for the film. Disappointed that it's been pushed back.
Yeah. In other news, talking about sort of IPs and franchises, Neve Campbell, she's the star of the Scream franchise. She's going to return to the Scream franchise for the 7th Scream film.
Yeah.
She initially shunned the project. I think this was due to a low pay offer. She wasn't getting the offer that she wanted. But she has now announced that she is returning for the project. So clearly a checkbook came out. And
I think they cleared up some funds by dropping their last 2 stars. They dropped Jenna Ortega, and then I'm so terrible with names, but the star of the latest 2 Scream films.
Yes.
She was dropped too. And I can't say that I'm too excited for the new Scream film. I enjoy the Scream franchise as much as you can. But to have dropped those actors for some contentious issues.
Yes.
I think it's a shame. It's good to see that Neve Campbell's coming back. I think
they're trying to build positive press with this, definitely.
But yeah, I think they've taken some hits with some of the casting calls. And I don't know how much hype's going to be able to build up behind it, especially with Jenna Ortega being lost. Like, she's a huge star in horror, especially right now. I think she was one of the major reasons the last one was as successful as it was, just like the star name. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see in what direction they can go with this.
Yeah, I think the Scream franchise for me is just how much longer can you do this? Like, I just feel like, is there enough substance to go for a 7th?
Realistically, they could have stopped after the first one, because the first one's like an objectively good film, and then afterwards it did just get into like the slasher motif of like, I think they were trying to pull through by like making fun of themselves, but it kind of gets to a point where like you can be self-aware and still be boring. Like I don't think you can rely purely on being like, oh, here's horror, and like we're gonna deconstruct it in a horror film. Like people get bored eventually. Like no offense to them, but yeah, that's just my take.
Totally.
Anyway, we'll move on from Toby.
Yep.
A recent Streaming Insights survey revealed that 74% of millennials,
And Gen Zers.
and Gen Zers, show a preference for original content over franchises and remakes.
Interesting, eh?
That's a very interesting statistic.
Yeah.
Um,
I think this has been supported by recent successes. And I know this is a bigger scale, probably isn't limited to sort of the millennial audience. But even if you think about some of the big box office hits of last year, you had Barbie original in regards to film. Oppenheimer, Poor Things, these are...
I was gonna say, you can't call Barbie original. There's 20 Barbie Dreamhouse films. What
you know what I mean. You know what I mean? In terms of in this way, I guess you're right. Barbie doesn't really count. But I especially feel that with Oppenheimer, and I feel like even... looking at some of the other films like The Holdovers and stuff like that, I know we're looking at strictly Oscars here, and this isn't necessarily being promoted to this sort of audience. But I do see that now where the critically acclaimed films that we're getting and things like that are doing very well.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think it's exciting with the idea that we're going to perhaps get less sequels, spin-offs and stuff.
Do you think that's going to happen?
No, absolutely not. I think it's an exciting prospect.
Yeah.
Something that we can look forward to, perhaps. But for the time being, I think there's enough people that are clinging to their nostalgia. I just talked about Tron at the start of this episode. What am I talking about? There's enough people that are just wanting something simplistic to watch and something that they can trust is going to be consistent enough in what it's showing. But yeah, I think it's certainly interesting that the younger generation especially is looking for something new. Maybe it's a link into the conversation about attention spans that everyone's having, but I think when you look at the likes of the latest Dune film being as well received as it has, and it's a long film, I think it just opens up a lot of conversations about the way that we're consuming content, and especially the younger generations.
I actually agree with you. I think it's also worth noting this came from a streaming service. So I think we can say this is the case for sort of the people we know.
Yeah.
People are willing to try things out on streaming. People are willing to give franchises a go. I mean, we know a lot of people who are trying to find the first Dune to watch on streaming and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe it's different in terms of theatrical success.
Yeah.
Kind of needs to be a spin-off, a remake, or a sequel. But I think on streaming, people are sort of willing to go back and try new franchises because they have the ability to go, nope, and turn it off.
I was going to say, it's probably a safety thing where it's just kind of I'm not spending $12 on a movie ticket that I might walk out of because I can get bored versus turn something on, it's crap, I turn back on and my reruns of Friends or whatever it is. Exactly,
and we've seen how expensive everything is. I think people are sort of only willing to go out and spend that money because, it's expensive now, the popcorn and all that. I mean, it is an expensive...
I don't think it's necessary to get popcorn.
But you know what I mean? People sort of are now, I think, being a bit more selective. Yeah. And I think sequels and things like that people have already an affinity to in terms of the acting and the directing and the people involved, they're probably a bit more willing to take the dive and go in and see the film. Whereas at streaming, people are probably more I want to see something new, something different that if it doesn't work for me, I can not watch it.
Yeah, no, I respect that.
Steven Spielberg, speaking of sequels, has confirmed that there will be a sequel to Ready Player One. Yeah. So it's likely going to be called Ready Player 2, as far as I'm aware.
That's an odd choice.
He won't be... Creative... I actually think that's a good name. Ready Player 2. Who wouldn't do that? But he will be only producing it. He won't be directing it this time.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, Ready Player One, I thought was a great popcorn blockbuster.
I love how you call things popcorn blockbuster.
You know what I mean? It's fun. It's not,
Basically, it's not a serious film to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's fine.
It's the nostalgia part. I mean, just when he gets in the DeLorean and has the race. I mean, I love that. And then you see, is it King Kong comes out or the Jurassic...
I distinctly remember there's an Iron Giant in one of the scenes.
Isn't the T-Rex from Jurassic Park in it for a bit?
Probably.
In the race, I think a dinosaur comes out or something.
There's a lot of references in that film.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. So I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to go back into that world.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think it's interesting, but it is very funny just talking about sequels and then you got Ready Player One, which perhaps didn't need a sequel.
No.
It's a complete story. The name, I know you said you liked Ready Player 2. I prefer Ready Player 1 too. I think that's a lot better.
That's quite good, actually. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. I hope it's good.
Yeah, I agree. And on our last piece of news for the week, A24 and IMAX, they're partnering.
It's very good.
One of the best studios, and of course, the best way to watch films in the world. So they are partnering to release some remastered A24 films for the IMAX experience. It is going to be sort of a monthly event screening, and it's going to begin on March 27th. That's the US. I'm assuming it'll be fairly similar for us
I'd
here.
have to imagine it'll be similar enough.
So some of the films they've announced is getting this includes Ex Machina, a film I'm a big fan of. You've also got Hereditary, which we were just talking about. And even in the past, we've said how we'd love to see sort of a horror film
in IMAX. I don't know. I think Hereditary will be a hard watch in IMAX. For those who have seen it, the first half of that film is intense.
It is.
But yeah, it's certainly exciting. I tell you what I want to see. I know I'm going so far off topic right now, but horror films, Nope, in IMAX.
It was filmed with IMAX cameras.
Yeah, no.
It was filmed in IMAX.
I would love to see that film in IMAX.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do it.
A re-release, yeah.
Yeah, because I have heard rumors that given the success of the Tenet re-release that we've just seen, Interstellar might be the next one. But I think that I absolutely see Nope and other films like that becoming part of that. I see Dunkirk also coming back. But I 100% agree. I think Nope would be brilliant. And I'm so sad that we missed that at the time. Because we did see it in theaters.
Yeah, we did.
But we didn't go to IMAX for it. We should have gone to IMAX. But in regards to the A24, the other film they've announced is Uncut Gems, which was quite a big success on Netflix.
Adam Sandler, who we're going to be talking about a little bit later.
We are. And another one of his Netflix films as well.
Another one of his things, yeah. The only one that I would be like absurdly keen to see for A24 right now is Everything. I think that film is just brilliant. I don't know how much better it'll look in IMAX. That's the only thing. I don't think it's like as visually compelling as a lot of these other films. But,
interesting, yeah.
Like not in the sense that I think that like compared to like the likes of Oppenheimer.
I know what you mean.
This visual storytelling of I'm not going to go into this. the visual storytelling is fantastic.
It is a little bit more contained in terms of the scope of the setting within it. It's not the wide.
It's not a film that I like would praise purely for its visuals. I think the story is so fantastic that I don't need to. Essentially,
absolutely. I think for me, Ex Machina is going to be my first ticket.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
I really like that film. So, and I think visually it's stunning. So I'll be very keen on that. Yeah. That is it for the news this week. Stay tuned.
Not quite for the news. We've got to talk about the Oscars as well.
We are. So we're going to dedicate a segment this week to the Oscars results. We're really excited to talk about that. Stay tuned for that to come up. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to the next segment. This is the exciting one.
Oscars!
The Oscars! Woo! We had the Oscars this week.
Really?
We did.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Oh, really?
No.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good chat. I'm joking. Of course, I watched I watched the whole thing. Yeah. It was a good one.
It was good. It was good.
It was a good one.
Let's just talk results. I feel like we're just baiting everyone. We made some pretty big claims in the last episode when we had our very special guest, Timothy Chalamet here. I'm kidding. Thomas Kokonos. Better than Timothy Chalamet, some might say.
I would say.
But yeah, if anyone remembers, there was the bet going on between us about who had won or who was going to guess the most Oscar wins.
I've been dreading this part.
You've been dreading this part. Do we say straight up or should we go through them bit by bit?
No, I think we go through.
Sure. For anyone who has been following, you might already know. But we'll save it for those who are a little bit more unaware.
Yeah.
I don't know if like our tones might be giving away some of the answers here, but
maybe we're just amazing at.
We're just really good at baiting you. Really good actors.
Yeah. We're diverting away from the truth.
Certainly. Okay. What do we want to start with? Which one?
Let's start with the first one on the night, which was the supporting actress role. Actually.
Sure. Yep.
So this one went exactly the way we thought it would.
It did.
Davine Joy Randolph.
Yes.
Well deserved. Fantastic.
Very deserved. Yeah.
I was thrilled.
And a beautiful speech she gave as well. I think you were really happy with her speech.
I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I think she's an incredible actress.
Yeah.
And I just thought, out of all the speeches of the night, we had some great ones. We had some sort of fine ones. But Dave Vines was beautiful. And I just thought it said a lot about who she is and that the win meant so much to her. And I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it was
so
good
deserved.
to see. Yeah.
And The Holdovers is a fantastic film. And I'm glad to see her win for that one. And we both got that one correct.
Yeah, we did.
All good.
That's one. What did TK get for that one? Was he was off, wasn't he?
He was on.
He was on?
He was Dave on.
Okay, three for everyone.
And to be honest, I think everyone expected that one.
Yes.
It wasn't really a race in that category. So why don't we go to some of the, sort of the smaller categories? Should we go with makeup and hairstyling?
Sure, we can. This is a interesting one. So makeup and hairstyling went to Poor Things. I think it was well deserved. I had predicted this one. I don't know if you heard that little grr from across me there. But I think someone got this one wrong. Was it you?
It was me.
Oh.
I predicted Maestro. Look, Poor Things was great. And I think well deserved as well.
I sense a tone.
I think the makeup and hairstyling in Maestro was standout.
Yeah, but me and the Academy, we don't agree with you on this one, unfortunately.
Yeah. I just thought if there was anything that Maestro was going to take home, it'd be this one.
Yeah, I can understand that, but Poor Things.
And I love Poor Things. I can't stress this. When I just say my disappointment lies in the fact that I predicted it wrong rather than the result itself.
Yeah.
I just really did think it was going to Maestro's way. I'm just kind of disappointed I got that one wrong, but ultimately, well-deserved Poor Things. Congratulations to the team.
Yep, and for those keeping tally, that's me on 2, Frosty on 1, and TK got Poor Things as well, so that's 2 for TK.
So that was me incorrect.
Yes.
And look, it's not going to get any better for me because the next one is costume design. And unfortunately for me and TK, Toby was the only one that got this one correct.
Yes,
he predicted Poor Things, and Poor Things sweeped in terms of the production categories.
Let's go. That's a good one for me.
So this one, TK and I thought was really going to go to Barbie. But unfortunately, Barbie had a great night in terms of the music and
the performances, yep.
They were really well sort of showcased throughout, and I was really happy to see that.
It was.
I mean, I still think there's the snub of Greta and Margot in the categories themselves.
Yes.
Not saying anyone in those categories didn't deserve to be nominated, but if there was an extra spot, it had to have gone to either of them.
Yeah, realistically. I think it's a good point to bring up that, like, realistically, I would have loved to see them nominated, but even had they been nominated, to say that they would have won, it was a tough competition out there, and there were some fantastic performances. I just think the nomination in itself is enough of a reward for the work that they did for Barbie.
And I'm so glad that, you got the moments like I'm Just Ken and all that we'll get into, but I'm so glad that they were at least... I don't think anyone expected them to win Best Picture, as great as the film was.
No.
I'm just so glad that they got a lot of attention on the night because it was a cinematic triumph that something that no one expected to be able to translate to the big screen worked so well.
Yeah, certainly. And we're going to be having a bit of a tug of war here. Frosty actually got production design here. So
I did.
He took the Poor Things route on this one here. I went Barbie. I thought they had it for the production design. So there's a point back to him and one loss for me. TK had also gone Barbie on my side because he assumed that I would be right. And he was right in most cases, but this one, unfortunately, that was not it.
You are correct. The next one is sound design.
Yes.
This one, I was the only one that got this one correct, and I really did think this was well deserved.
No, and it's a good case that you made for that one there.
Yeah.
I was listening to the podcast back, and I was like, oh, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who have sort of seen the film or at least know about the work that went into the sound design, this one was well deserved. The sound played a massive role in the narrative itself. So, Zone of Interest, congratulations. Jonathan Glazer had a very interesting speech for this.
Yes.
Or was that for...
No, it was...
Best International.
Yeah, it was the best...
Sorry, we'll get
save
into
it for
that.
then, because I do have a couple of things to say about that one there.
My bad. The sound designers went out for the Zone of Interest, didn't they?
Yep.
My apologies.
But we'll go on to editing. And this one, we had all predicted the same film, Oppenheimer.
Yep.
And Barbie actually won this one. No, I'm kidding. It was Oppenheimer. So that was expected. I don't think that changes the results too much. But
And Jennifer Lame... really nice speech as well, and well deserved. Yeah, she did fantastic job with the editing of Oppenheimer. I have seen some news, in the abyss that is the internet, that everyone's like, how could a 3-hour film be nominated for best editing and win?
Yeah.
Isn't editing that they're supposed to get the good takes and put them into film?
Why wasn't it a TikTok? If it was well edited.
That just frustrates me, because how amazing the editing was in that film and how well it flows, and the fact that 3-hour film does not feel like it's a 3-hour film, and every single frame is important. It just shows you how well edited it was.
Should have been done in 90 seconds, otherwise it's not good editing.
And the Academy agreed, all three of us agreed it was Oppenheimer's.
And we're objectively right about everything, so...
We are.
The next one is visual effects.
Oh, this one frustrates me so much.
Someone's hurt by the opposite end of the room here, but the winner was Godzilla -1.
And I should say, I think this is well deserved. I'm frustrated at my own prediction because it was obvious. It should have gone to Godzilla -1.
It was going to go to Godzilla -1.
They did so well with it.
What did you pick again?
I picked the creator.
Oof.
And I think that is a fair pick.
Yeah,
I'm not
it was.
saying that I wish I hadn't gone for them in terms of, the creator was so much better. That was a pick that I thought could be against the narrative that everyone was predicting. And I thought, let's go for something
I was
different.
trying to be different.
But yeah,
I was trying to be unique like that.
I am.
But you were wrong, so...
I was wrong.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Absolutely love the fact that they brought up the Godzilla figures when they accepted the award.
Did you see their shoes? I thought their shoes were really cool.
I didn't see the shoes.
They all had like heels that were like the Godzilla claw.
No.
It was so cool.
On top of that, I love that the composers of the Oscars played the Godzilla theme when
really?
they came up.
That's so cool.
And another thing, did you see that the sort of the person who did the speech? They had a gold Godzilla with a bow tie on.
Yeah, I did see that.
I love that. I'm just sorry, that's so good. And I loved how they reacted when they got, you could tell it meant so much to them.
Yeah.
They're on such a small budget, a Japanese studio as well.
Yeah.
Took over Guardians of the Galaxy. Didn't that have like a $350 million budget?
Yeah, that is very funny to think
Just
about.
Incredible.
Oh, well deserved. I'm happy they
So
got that
great.
one. Yeah, I'm happy with it.
So, my frustration rests in my prediction, not the result itself.
Of course.
Cinematography, Hoyt van Hoytema. I mean, it's taken him, in my opinion, too long to get this win. He's produced some of the best visuals in cinema, Tenet, and other incredible films with Nolan and beyond. He did Nope. He was the cinematographer of Nope.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it took him too long to get this win.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad he did. I loved how he came up in like sketches. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
With the suit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like some kind of sneakers of some kind. And he's just the best. I love Hoyter. And even behind the scenes, you saw it. It meant a lot to him, and I'm so glad to see that he got that.
Rock up to the Oscars in Crocs. That goes crazy.
Yeah, and we all predicted that correctly. Sorry. So we all predicted that for cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, best original screenplay. Unfortunately, TK.
Yes, TK had The Holdovers, and me and Will here, we had Anatomy of a Fall, and we were correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you notice that they played like a remix of the 50 Cent song when they came up? I've heard that that's in the film. It's like I don't know what you've heard about me. Yeah. They played that as they came up to get the award.
Like 50's in the room with me.
I just thought it was I was paying a lot of attention to the music that was being played. Yeah. There was one time they messed up once.
Oh.
And no, but they did fantastic job. All credit to them. But it was actually after a speech we're going to talk about later on.
Okay.
And they played a song from Barbie.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I didn't see that actually, but we'll get to it. We'll go on to the next one, which is best adapted screenplay. We all had Oppenheimer down.
We did.
And we were all wrong. It was American Fiction, and you were on there. You were on it.
I listened back to the podcast, and I went onto a whole thing about how it really could go to American Fiction. It was deserved by Cord Jefferson. And I changed.
You changed your opinion.
I changed my opinion. Before I came, I had American Fiction written down, everyone. That was what I had on my piece of paper.
That's not what was said.
But I changed it to Oppenheimer because I thought about it, and I'm like, what he did, from the American Prometheus story, he adapts it so well. The fact that, the non-linear storytelling made a lot of sense in the context of the story. I just changed my mind in the spot.
Should have stuck to your guns.
I should.
That was a shame. But yeah, so that's one that we all got wrong. Is that the only one that we all got wrong?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, well, congratulations to American Fiction for
And so deserved.
proving us all wrong.
Cord Jefferson, fantastic script. Well done.
Original score, we all had Oppenheimer again. And
Ludwig.
Ludwig.
For those of you who are wondering what we're doing right now, Toby corrected me when I said his name
He's
correctly.
happy with himself.
I am. That was very funny.
Say the last name for me again.
Gronson.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Okay.
It went to Oppenheimer.
It did. Oh, of course. And I think everyone heard the music.
Anyway, the best song, once again, we all went for What Was I Made For from the Barbie film, and we got it all right.
Which you
I
said,
nearly bombed it.
You said I'm just Ken all the way until I said, are we all going, what was I made for? And you went,
maybe you shouldn't make like generalizing statements then. Maybe you should
of the correct answer.
That's beside the point. You should just let me say my own thing and have my own opinions. But you said a generalizing statement, and I was like, okay, I'll be roped into that because then we're all wrong together. Community.
Yeah.
But I was right. So
and beautiful performance by Billie Eilish and Phineas.
Yeah, it was fantastic performance.
Yeah.
Animated feature. Very happy with this one. The Boy and the Heron.
What Miyazaki's work is incredible.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going to see The Boy and the Heron as soon as I can. I think what the work he's done in the past, especially Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Incredible work. So I'm glad to see that he got an appreciation.
Yeah, I think at this point it's more just like a reward for the work that he's done in animation. He's been snubbed so many times before. And like you can make a compelling case for Spider-Man. I genuinely don't think Spider-Man was a better film than The Boy and the Heron.
Sure.
You can hold that opinion, but I think in this sake, like Spider-Man's got another film coming out. They got their chance in a couple of years.
Yeah. And there's no hate to Boy and the Heron.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of love to go around for the animated features. I even think Elemental is a good film. Not that it was going to win.
Yeah.
But my point is, if I was voting, it would have gone to Across the Spider-Verse. But then I haven't seen The Boy and the Heron, so it's sort of a blank statement.
Yeah. We'll move on to a little bit more of a interesting topic, I think.
But well-deserved win.
Well-deserved win. We'll start off with that. So the international feature went to The Zone of Interest.
And it was, so it should.
Yeah, it was a brilliant film. And very deserving of that one. For the picks, me and Frosty had that one. TK unfortunately didn't. But the interesting thing about this one was actually the speech from the director, Jonathan Glazer. It was a very emotional speech.
Yeah, it was.
And a very brave speech for him to have given. I'll just read the quote here just for people who may not have been aware of it. Give me one sec. He said, "Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people, whether the victims of October the 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack in Gaza." Very, very brave thing to say in a very public place, one of the most observed things to celebrate film and television. Oh, not film and television, sorry, film.
Yep.
And for that, I would just, say that that's amazing. Like, what he's done there is, I don't know how else to say, but brave, like, realistically. And we can already see that there's a lot of pushback against what he said. There's a lot of people who are disagreeing with what he said. I don't want to get too deep into the politics of this entire crisis, but for what he's essentially said, I think it's very significant if you're talking about artistry in general and the film that he created.
I think that's important to say.
Yeah. So the film he created was obviously about the Holocaust in itself. He's a man who is Jewish himself, and for him to come out very publicly and state that he just essentially views the violence that is ongoing in Gaza as something that has been manipulated by the narrative of the Holocaust, and I think that's just incredible for him to have done. So all the respect goes out to him. I hope that for everyone who observed the speech, watched the movie, they can take away the messages that he is willing to send through it.
Yeah, and you could tell he was really nervous as well. He had the speech,
paper.
And you could see his hand shaking. But I think in the end,
powerful. I think in that sense, he risked a lot in saying that, and I feel like this is a conversation that we had. That to be a public figure and to have to create things, essentially, you need funding, and a lot of time funding comes from places with people with political perspectives and whatnot. And by making the speech that he did, and realistically, what he said, it was like just a plea for security. It wasn't in any sense necessarily taking sides. He just says, I don't want there to be victims. But in the same sense, he's still risking a lot in doing so. So I hope for his sake and for the sake of cinema, we get to see him direct more work. I hope that people heed his message because it's so significant and it was so brave of him to do that. And it was well deserved for his international feature film, The Zone of Interest. Everyone, please go watch it.
Please do. Yes. And for Australian listeners, it is out in theaters now. You can go see it. Next, we have the big awards of the night. We have Best Supporting Actor. This went exactly the way all of us predicted. Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
I want to ask, he's delivered some really sort of notable speeches throughout this whole campaign. I thought this one didn't quite have that the same sort of charm of the other ones. I thought the biggest way he started, I thought was quite interesting, was I like to thank my rough childhood and the Academy in that order.
Yeah.
I thought that was it's his humor. It's the way he is, and I just thought an absolute well-deserved win. But yeah, not quite the speech I expected.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were expecting the I am Iron Man. I would have hated it.
I don't think he would have
There's a lot of jokes
He's
going
trying
around.
to move away from that. That's what this is.
He doesn't want to be captured by that one character. I think he's got to give credit to Marvel for giving him the career that he has.
Yeah. I think it's unrelated to this.
It's completely unrelated. His performance in Oppenheimer was fantastic and he's very deserving of this. I'm just saying that, like, for the steps to get him into the position that he's in now, I think Iron Man was such a significant character for him to play for a decade. How long was he Iron Man?
Oh, yeah, something like
a
that.
good little while.
Yeah,
so,
amazing amount of time.
Yeah, I think his speech wasn't the best speech he's delivered, but I love RDJ in the same respect. So I think it's...
And I'm so glad we got to hear, because I think from that performance, the day that came out, we knew it was going to go his way.
Yes, yeah.
He turned into Lewis Strauss.
Yeah, certainly. So we've talked about supporting actress.
We have.
Already, so we'll go on to actor.
Yeah.
And Cillian Murphy.
Getting
the Oscar that he finally
lovely speech.
deserved.
Lovely moment for him.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him.
He seemed a little nervous up on stage for his speech.
He did. I mean, I think he knew it was coming, but this is... I mean, he's always been sort of a supporting role, apart from Peaky Blinders. And it's amazing to see him to take this Oscar. I mean, well-deserved. And I think we're just going to see him in more main, front leading roles in the future.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited for that one. But that's one that we all got right as well.
We did.
Interesting one next. Actress. Who'd you go for again?
I went Lily Gladstone.
Okay.
I did.
And who won again?
Emma Stone.
Oh, okay.
And well-deserved. I cannot complain. She is an incredible actress.
I think Poor Things just did ridiculously well at the Oscars.
It did really well.
Yeah.
It really did. Yeah. I think besides Oppenheimer, it was the second
most, yeah. And honestly, I think it's well deserved. That film was magnificent.
And I love that she did sort of pay tribute to the other, but she sort of mentioned the other, her nominees, because that is a packed...
It was a very packed
group. Yeah, it really was. I mean, every single person could have gone home with that.
Yeah.
But I think we all knew it was going to be between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. And I don't think anyone can complain it was Emma Stone.
No. She was also a little bit nervous up on stage, it seemed. I think she was a bit frantic. I mean, her dress malfunctioned, which always gives you a little bit of a fright, I'm sure.
But she's great, isn't she? I
She's
mean, the persona...
Yeah.
She's just... Everything feels really natural. And, whether it is or whether it's not, who knows? But the point is, I just think for me, it feels really natural. I just think she was so grateful and loved being there. And I just love the moment she did gesture to Lily Gladstone as well. And when, it could have been either of us. And it really could have. And I think everyone felt that.
It was me. That's what she said.
But I think it comes down to as well, Poor Things was Emma Stone's film.
Yes.
It was her. Without it, it wouldn't have worked. Whereas Lily Gladstone is, some even see her as a supporting role. I think her appearance in the film is absolutely leading worthy. But of course, it is Leonardo DiCaprio who's the lead role. Yeah. So I get it. But absolutely, congratulations to Emma Stone. But well done, Lily Gladstone, as well, because you had an incredible performance and an amazing run. But I did get that one wrong in some way.
Yes, yeah. And the next two, I think we can kind of just group them together. So you got director and picture going to Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer.
Yes.
So massive for him.
Massive for Emma Thomas
deserved.
as well.
I think it was the biggest film of the year. Like, you can't...
I mean, Best Picture went to the best film.
Yeah,
It did,
I
didn't
don't think anyone's too disappointed or surprised by this one. We certainly weren't. We all predicted it.
They didn't even read the nominees.
No, but there was that just a.
So I actually have a quote here. It was Al Pacino announced Best Picture.
Yep.
And there was kind of I would say a bit of an odd moment with how he announced it. He kind of opened it and
Al
went,
Pacino.
he went, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." And everyone kind of hesitated for a
Can you do the
second.
accent for me, though?
No. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I
Disappointing.
Can you do it?
No. I was like, oh.
Okay, come on. Yeah, so I just want to say, I think everyone hesitated a bit, and I think that's because we've seen the Oscars sort of had a bit of a mess up in the past, with Jimmy Kimmel as host as well, and how he sort of diffused that situation. So I just thought when he said "My eyes see Oppenheimer," I think everyone was kind of like, is he doing a joke? I don't know. But it did go to Oppenheimer. Emma Thomas made a really good speech. Loved it. I'm so glad for the Oppenheimer team. I'm really excited to see what Christopher Nolan does next. And congratulations to Universal Studios. I mean, their film sweep that night.
Absolutely massive.
It was Oppenheimer's Oscars.
Yep. And I think we've gotten to the end here where we're going to maybe run through the predictions, see who did the best. Why don't we start off with the third place? I don't want to say last. I think it's a little bit degrading. But third place. And I don't want to say like he hadn't seen as many of the films. Maybe that was the issue. TK came in third place. He got 13 correct out of 19. And
again, thanks to him for coming on the show.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Such a great part. He gave us a lot of insight into the score that Ludwig did. And I'm just really glad we had him. But unfortunately, he did get third place. But we're so glad he was a part of it. And we hope to see him again soon.
Yeah. Do you want to say who came second? Or do you want to say who comes first? You can choose.
All right. Let's just reveal all.
Rip off the Band-Aid, as they say.
I came second. I got 15 correct.
Oof, that's unfortunate, isn't it?
And I have to admit, I give Toby all credit. He got 17.
I am better.
You are.
I am better.
Your predictions were better.
Yep.
And the frustrating thing is 2 of them I changed during the podcast, being the creator. I had Godzilla initially planned. And the other one was American Fiction I had written down, and both of them turned out to be correct.
Yeah.
But I
could have tied it up then.
Yeah, it would have been a tight race then.
Yeah,
they were the 2 I genuinely came in with that as my answers.
Yeah, so how are you feeling about...
What am I watching? Evangelion?
I messaged you this. I said I'll make it a little bit easier for you. So there's the whole series, but it's 26 episodes, 20 minutes apiece. There's like a movie that like sort of summarizes the series. It's only 60 minutes and it's terrible, but I'll let you watch that so that you can watch the end of Evangelion, which is only an hour and a half. So it's 2.5 hours. That's less than June Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm
happy
good to go with that. So
you won fair and square.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
And it's really funny as well because this is your first anime. that
Spirited Away. Does that count?
Yeah, it counts.
I've watched Spirited Away.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in like the same field as anime.
I watched one of the Cyberpunk TV show episodes as well.
You didn't even finish it, did you?
No.
Did you not enjoy it?
No, I did. I just never got back to it.
Okay.
Yeah. I sometimes with TV, I very much like to watch something contained. I just sort of always meant to go back and then.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah,
I enjoyed that.
So the first one will be Evangelion. That's really interesting because it's quite a, I don't want to say niche, but it's it's got a certain fan base to it.
I literally know nothing. I'm sorry.
They're all criminally insane, so that'll be exciting for you.
But yeah, I am sparing you from watching Goodbye Dragon. That'll be.
I mean, there's a chance I still watch it. Like I feel like
you're curious now, aren't you?
You still got to watch The Simpsons. I think even with TK's loss,
I kind of want to. I kind of do. That's the thing. All of us kind of came out of that podcast and went, maybe we should all just watch them anyway. We're all kind of curious about why we picked those.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting.
I just want to kind of talk about some of the main moments of the Oscars.
Sure.
So obviously we have the big story. I'm Just Ken.
Are you? I thought you were Will.
That's so funny.
I am hilarious. No,
I thought it was a great performance.
It was a good performance.
Loved
it was very funny.
Loved it. Thought it was great. It was great to see some of the Kens from the film.
What a lucky cameraman, by the way. Kiss on the hand from
You were
Ryan
jealous
Gosling.
of that bit, weren't you?
Wowee.
It was a nice moment.
That layer of skin is now worth like $20,000.
I like the start when he's behind Margot.
Yeah, she's losing it as well. You see Billie Eilish behind him as well. They're just losing
also,
it.
I loved Greta as well.
Yeah.
She was going nuts for it. And I think we all were. Fantastic performance. I love seeing the other Kens come back as well.
Yeah.
And of course, we got a...
there was a reference to Marilyn Monroe in the
was.
performance as well. The costumes and Ryan Gosling's pink look. Oh, and the guitarist. That's what you're.
Yes,
You're,
the
you're
guitarist.
strumming at me for.
I am.
I'm terrible with names. I want to say Spike, but
No. No. But yeah, incredible performance for I'm Just Ken. A nice little moment, and great to see all the Kens come back for it, or at least most of them. Simu Liu was definitely there.
yeah.
And Ben
Slash.
That
I
was
was
it.
close. What
You
did I
were
say?
close. I can't remember. What did
I feel
you
like
say?
did I say Slash?
No. Maybe you did. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, Slash, and great for that as well. I just thought it was a great performance.
Yeah, it was funny.
But I also have to admit, I thought Billy's was really beautiful as well.
Yeah, hers was fantastic.
I thought that was really great.
Mm.
So to move on to some of the other main stories, we also had the moment with the stunts. And this I had a few things to say about. So they gave sort of a montage of great stunts over the years. And it was hosted by Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
Yes, yeah.
Of course, for the Fall Guy coming out.
Yep.
Really funny.
It was funny.
I really enjoyed that
They got
moment.
good chemistry, though.
They do. And
great.
I think a lot of people are now I've heard people are more excited for the Fall Guy seeing that chemistry between them. So really great choice of presenters. But for me, I just think at this point, just give an award. Do you know what I mean? Or even what frustrated me a little bit with what they showed, they didn't show any of the stunt performance. They just showed the stunts.
Yeah.
So again, you've got these incredible stunt performers that no one knows who they are, and that just is so disappointing to me because I think it deserves an award itself. I just think
I
it's
agree with
such an incredible part of film. So many of the movies that are even nominated wouldn't be there without incredible stunt performers, and I just thought really nice of the Academy to at least mention it. But it would have been great if we got a surprise announcement. Because when it started, I really thought that's where it was going. Was we were going to suddenly get a next year we're going to have a best stunts category, but we didn't. And I'm just always going to be waiting for that announcement because I really want to see it.
Yeah.
Another big moment. Naked John Cena.
Naked John Cena.
Thoughts?
I didn't see it.
Very funny bit.
I didn't see him.
Oh my God.
I'm on fire today.
That's...
I'm actually...
I have to admit, okay, pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. But yeah.
What an odd choice.
Yeah.
He is yoked,
That was
though.
funny.
He is terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
Jeez. Got some muscle on that man.
Really, I thought it was really funny because it was announcing best costume design
Yeah.
as well. So, yeah, a really good moment.
But
Enjoyed
he
that.
also did have the opportunity to come out in, like, camo. Or just not come out at all. Like, to be fair, it could have been really funny.
Yeah, it could have been funny, but
Just have,
I
like, a
thought what they
dangling-
did was great.
A dangling piece of paper and then just have him, like, speak from behind the stage. That could have been really funny.
Yeah.
Damn, I should write for the Oscars.
I think we should also say there were 2 references to a film we have reviewed on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
There was the Madam Web jokes
Madam
in
Web
there.
jokes.
Harsh but fair, I'd say. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
think it's one of those things that perhaps in hindsight we should have made some more jokes about Madam Web.
look, yeah, that is what it is. But the thing is, I think it's worth mentioning that I feel like every Oscars there's that one movie that kind of cops it. Like, do you remember when Cats came out?
Yeah.
And there were so many. I felt for the people who made it because they got so many jabs.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was John Mulaney who made a joke about the quote from the trailer.
Yeah.
About researching spiders.
I think he listened to our podcast and was like, they're really funny. We should like make the same joke. He's actually funny though. I thought his joke was well delivered and he's a funny guy.
And the last thing I'll ask you is, how'd you find Jimmy Kimmel?
Cringy, like not disrespectfully.
Really?
Oh, I just think I struggle with like talk show hosts.
Okay, interesting.
Like I actually not being disrespectful in any sense. I'm not trying to say like he was terrible. He did a fine job. Like he presented the Oscars.
That's how I feel. He was reliable.
He was reliable, and
I thought he was great as a host. He really moved it along. He did some good introductions for people, kept it going.
I think it was a monologue that was.
I think the monologue for me, I just think the whole thing about movies being long, overplayed. Like been done for so many years now. We get it. Movies are longer now. I mean,
but they're not even that long. It's just
and
like
so
there's like
many
2 films
of the best
that are over 2 hours.
Exactly, and so many of the best picture nominations are long films. Clearly, it's working. Clearly, they're great films. So I just think I'm kind of tired of that joke. Not saying again, so many people have done it before him.
Funny, Jimmy Kimmel. That's what Frosty said.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what he said. I didn't. I would never say that about you. That was what Will Frost said.
Jimmy Kimmel has done it so many times, and he's always been really good and reliable.
Yeah.
And I thought this year he was great as a host. The monologue didn't exactly stand out. I don't think anyone's going to be talking about it for that long. But ultimately, it wasn't awful. I did think the moment with Robert Downey Jr. was quite funny because you could kind of tell Robert Downey Jr. was kind of like, yeah, let's yeah, we get it. You know, drug
Yeah.
jokes, haha. Like, let's move on. But yeah, ultimately, I just thought he did fine. He was reliable, he was safe, and he did well. And it ultimately a really good show. I thought it was pretty good.
No, that's right.
And just thinking if there's anything else, I think it's worth saying I do like the touch of the previous best actresses or best supporting actresses and
Yeah, that was
best
good.
supporting people coming out to give the award. I thought it was nice how they gave everyone sort of a moment.
Yep.
And I thought that was really good. The only thing I'll say is I would love to see clips from the films by the actors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
get
when
that.
when you're saying, nominee Cillian Murphy to show a moment from Oppenheimer. Do you know what I mean? I just think
Yeah.
that would have been really nice for them to add, because they did that for sort of best script. They had moments from the film and
Yeah.
they showed sort of little segments of the best pictures throughout the night. Just think for even the big categories, best actor and best actress, would have been nice to see that.
No,
That's all I'll say.
I can say that. But yeah, I think that's all we really want to say about the Oscars.
Congratulations to Toby.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to thank. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. What's
but
your Oscar speech?
I'm amazing, and no one helped me. It was all me.
You don't want to thank your agent?
Who's my agent?
Don't know, but everyone likes to thank their agent, so.
I don't have an agent.
Publicist?
No,
Oh,
I do it all myself.
Not me,
Self-made.
your family?
What have you done? I'm kidding. I like
Wow.
stole half your picks. To be fair. It was just like I got lucky with like the 4 that we disagreed on.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy that you're going to be watching Evangelion. I am fearful that you're going to like never see me the same again, but that's okay.
No, I'm absolutely curious about the world of anime, and I feel like
I
it's...
like how you say curious and not excited.
Well, because I don't know. I haven't learned enough yet. Because Spirited Away, I know, like you've said, it's not really the best depiction on the anime world as a whole. So
No.
I'm very curious.
But yeah,
I'm excited.
I think that wraps up our Oscar segment. We're
Yes.
going to do a short review of the new Adam Sandler Netflix film, Spaceman. We'll try and keep that nice and short for you guys because we know this has been a long episode. I'm getting a hand pointed at me.
And we'll also give you some of the new releases coming out this week, so you can stay up to date on some of the new films you can go see.
And we'll be doing that too. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We'll be back after the break.
Bye.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Clap Podcast. We're going to be giving our thoughts and opinions on the new Netflix film Spaceman, but first we will run through some of the new releases of this week so you guys can keep up to date.
We will. So, the horror film Imaginary, it released on March 8th and is available in theatres now, for anyone who hasn't seen that one yet. In Australia, the British film How to Have Sex is also available in theatres now. So, if you want to go see that one, it got a lot of hype overseas. So, yeah, that's definitely one worth checking out. In addition, a film called Cabrini is also available in theatres now, and it's by the directors of Sound of Freedom. It follows the story of Francesca Cabrini as she embarks on the mission to convince the mayor to secure housing and healthcare for society's most vulnerable, and it's set in New York in 1889. So that's an interesting one. In addition, we also have the horror film Baghead that has also released and is available in theatres now. And in kind of brand new news, we have tickets for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, so the sequel to the one with Paul Rudd. And that is now available for tickets, and it's going to release on Thursday, 21st of March. So if you want to see that one opening day, worth getting your tickets now.
Yeah, interesting. And going into the Netflix film, obviously we're going to be speaking about Spaceman, but there was a new Millie Bobby Brown film just came out on Netflix as well. I think it's called Damsel.
I think so.
I've seen a little bit of press from her for that one there. So
Yep.
if that interests you, that's available on Netflix now as well.
It is.
But I think we'll jump into our review of Spaceman now. I'll just run
Sure.
through some of the details. So the synopsis is basically half a year into his solo mission on the edge of the solar system, an astronaut concerned with the state of his life back on Earth is helped by an ancient creature he discovers in the bowels of his ship. The film is directed by Johan Renck. Hope I said that one right. Whose previous work includes Downloading Nancy, and he's directed some famous TV shows, including Breaking Bad, Chernobyl, The Walking Dead, not The Working Dead. I think they're dead. And Bloodline. He also did some music videos with Kylie Minogue and Robbie Williams. And then it's starring Adam Sandler, who I feel like everyone knows what Adam Sandler's known for, so I
Yeah.
don't think I need to run too many of his films. But yeah, it also has guest stars Carey Mulligan, She was in the Oscar-nominated Maestro. She was also in Saltburn.
She's also nominated herself.
She was nominated herself, yeah.
For Maestro.
And she was in The Great Gatsby. You might recognize her from that. And then it has Paul Dano, who is the voice of one of the characters. We won't spoil that in the spoiler-free section, but he's the Riddler in the Batman film, the Matt Reeves one, if you've seen that recently. He was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We talked about him briefly.
Yep.
In that. He was in The Fabelmans and Dumb Money as well. So some decent names.
Yeah, big names to it.
Yeah.
Netflix whipped out the budget for this one.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us what you thought about it?
Do you know what? I didn't mind it. I thought it was a good Netflix film.
I thought you were going to pull out the popcorn film again.
No. I don't think it is a popcorn film.
It's not a popcorn film.
The first thing I'll say to people is that it is slow. It's very atmospheric.
Yes.
I personally enjoyed that. It felt a bit like a meditation. It was slow, but I was never bored. I was enjoying the world I was in, but it's not an action-packed space spectacle.
No, it's certainly not action-packed. The film wasn't hugely long from my memory.
No, it's not. No.
It felt a little slow in parts for me.
Sure.
But that was more over an issue of pacing than it was... I mean, I guess that's the only issue that could make a film slow. It was the pacing that I thought was a bit difficult. I just thought they revealed a little bit too much too early, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it just made the proceedings afterwards feel like they were drawn out to fill up the time that the film was meant to take up. But in my opinion as well, I was pleasantly surprised by the film. I thought the atmosphere was pleasant. It was enjoyable.
Yep.
And some of the visuals were also like surprisingly impressive.
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
I was going to say that as well. I thought it was really well photographed. It was beautiful. I will say I thought the performances were good too. I think for me, Carey Mulligan stood out quite a lot.
Yeah.
You can tell that she's used to these dramatic roles, and every scene she was in, I believed. I thought it was really powerful, her performance. I thought Adam Sandler was good, but there's always a little something about Adam Sandler in his roles. He did a good job, but I thought he shone in moments, and then there were other moments where I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's good. I believe it.
I was lost a little bit on his accent. He was meant to be from the Czech Republic.
I actually agree. Yes. Yes.
And the conviction he had behind that accent dwindled throughout the film.
Okay.
And I think it's the same as anyone who struggles with an accent throughout a film. It takes you out a little bit and makes it a less convincing performance. I think he did well from the work that he's done in past, like Grown Ups to this, very different roles. And for that, I think he did a respectable job. I don't think he was stand out.
No, and I think a lot of people are going to say his performance in Uncut Gems was even more powerful, in terms of it really did transform him. You couldn't tell it was the regular grown-ups Adam Sandler or...
Point of reference.
Exactly, yeah. But you know what I mean? There's that side of Adam Sandler, and I think Uncut Gems was where he showed people that he could do a completely different role.
Yes.
I think this one will only reinforce that, but I don't think this is going to be the one that is going to be the notable
you're not going to reference
dramatic
this
role.
one and say like, oh, Adam Sandler can do a serious role. Like, I guess you might. Like, if it's only this and Uncut Gems, you might be like, he did Uncut Gems and that Spaceman one.
Yep.
I think, it's such a different tone for him, and I don't want to like say that his performance was terrible. I just think that it's a role that was difficult for him compared to what he's done in past.
Yep.
But if we're going to talk about acting, I thought the voice work of Paul Dano was nice. He's got a nice voice to him.
Really good.
Yeah.
Soothing.
I agree. What a soothing voice.
Very soothing. Paul Dano should be a therapist.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Just very, very calming, very soothing,
I don't know how deep
very understanding.
How deep we can go into it without spoiling the entire...
We'll go into a spoiler section when we talk about that.
But yeah, I think we can talk about the visuals without spoiling too much.
Exactly,
I think I messaged you after I watched it. There was this one scene that I thought was particularly just aesthetic to me.
Yeah.
And it was Adam Sandler's in his space costume. What do they call him? Astronaut suit. That's the one.
Astronaut suit, yeah.
And then it's kind of like I don't even know what you would call it, but he's in a forest. And I just thought the scene that they like introduced him in that area was just really pretty.
It was beautiful.
And very like just easy to remember like visually. And I think when a film does something like that to the point that I can remember it, it's worth the praise for that respect. Not to say that the entire film was stunning and like beautifully done cinematographically wise, but there are some standout scenes certainly.
Yeah, and I think for me, all the production elements worked. I thought the way it looked, in terms of the set dressing and all those kind of things. I think it worked really well. And I think all the characters and the visuals worked well. I believed all of it. And I thought, especially for sort of a streaming film that they know is not going to come out in theaters, there were a lot of attention and effort given to things like sound design as well. And the score, really nice as well. So ultimately, I think if you're looking for a really good Netflix film that is extremely modern in how it feels, but also really aesthetic and offers something different visually than a lot of sort of straight streaming space films. Because we've seen Netflix do this in the past. Space isn't a territory they avoid. But I think this one offers something different to what they've done in the past. And it's a really calming film. I don't think I'd watch it, if you're super tired on a Friday night, after a long week's work. Probably not. But if you're feeling up for something that's a little bit more melancholic, a little bit slower, but deep, then I'd say this is a great watch.
Yeah, I think when you're saying deep, you might be transing into like the conversation about the plot where I might disagree with you a little bit. I don't think the film was particularly as philosophical as some people are claiming it to be. I've heard mixed reviews. A lot of people are hating on it. They're saying it's terrible. It's a bore. To be fair, every single review that I read where it's like, it's too long and boring, I'm like, get off your phone.
Yeah.
Seriously, like just watch the film. It's not like you didn't have to trudge through it. It was an easy enough watch. I said, like, there's parts of it that I was like, this could move faster, but you still watch it. Like, it's not that hard. But some of the genuine reviews are like, it's pretending to be deeper than it is. And I can agree to the extent that, like, I don't think it's pretending. I just don't think it's that deep. Like, I don't think it's trying to present itself as like this hugely philosophical conversation about the meaning of life. I think it's a film about relationships. And
I
that's
agree.
about the extent of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there is one inherent flaw within the plot that takes it down for me. Because I think, as I was saying, all the production elements work really well. But I think, for me, there's one plot element within the relationship between the two leads, which is the whole thing, without, obviously without spoilers, is about their relationship. That's what forms the base of the plot. I mean, for people who don't know much about this, it's not about him, going on this, incredible space journey. It's not that.
It's just, that's the backdrop.
It's the backdrop. It's it's a human story within the context of space and an astronaut. And for me, I thought, whilst both performances really good, and I'd say individually well-written characters, there was a flaw that I'll get into in the spoiler section that I think took it down a couple of notches, that I think was trying to be, as sort of you were saying, a little bit more surprising and deeper than it kind of came to be.
Yeah.
And I think that would be my main criticism of it, is that there are some elements of the relationship, and I'd say specifically towards Adam Sandler's character, that didn't necessarily work for me.
Yeah.
But that's not to say it wasn't an unenjoyable watch. Just that did take it down from being what could have been a really great film. It just ended up being a good film.
Yeah. And I think that we can run into some of the spoilers then if we want to unpack that a little bit more.
So we're sounding the spoiler alarm now. If you have not seen this film, we suggest you start watching it.
Yeah, it's a reversing truck.
Yep. So reversing truck in the studio now.
No. So we'll get to the spoiler section. I'll let you keep going because I feel like you're on a roll here when you're talking about the plot. What was the issues for you?
So ultimately, it's kind of showing that Adam Sandler is the loneliest man in the world. He's by himself.
Loser. Yeah.
He's by himself in the ship and is disconnected from his wife, and that kind of forms the basis of it. And for me, I think the bit that I couldn't buy was that it took him to be the loneliest man in the world and be furthest away that any human has gone in history to realize that he basically loved his wife. I think that for me...
It's a fair point.
That for me was what I couldn't buy, where I'm spending the whole time going, why are you trying to work out whether you love your wife or not? I understand him trying to work out the flaws in this relationship through flashbacks and through memories. That I buy. But it's the fact that they kind of sold it as he realized he loved her. And I went, there should have been more to that maybe he realized. That's...
I'll let you continue, sorry.
Initial viewing, and I agree, there is a little bit more nuance to it than that. But that was how I felt after watching it, where I went, so he realized he loved her? Oh. That's where we're ending it? Okay. All right. Interesting. And I like that they got back together, and I like that he realized the mistakes he'd made in their relationship. But I just, for me, I thought that it was interesting how it took so much for him to realize something that I thought most people should know if they're in a relationship, I guess.
Yes. I agree with you in parts, and I kind of feel like I drew something out of the film a bit different to you in that respect.
Please.
I agree that, like, kind of the plot was just about him and his wife, essentially, and their relationship. But I don't think it was necessarily, like, him realizing that he loved her as much as it was realizing that, like, he needs to do certain things to be in a relationship with her in the same respect. Whereas, like, I think he very much just observed his wife in a sense that he can pursue his career and his, I mean, we're going into, like, the whole discussion of his, I guess, trauma based over his dad's actions as well. And he felt like he needed to serve his country in respect and prove himself in that sake. And then it kind of goes into the fact that by doing so, he's neglecting his wife. And realistically, he should only need that to feel fulfilled. So I think, that's when you're, like, really unpacking it. And, like, to your credit, the film doesn't, like, demonstrate that in the most complex narratives to the point that it does just come off at the end, like, he just loves his wife. Like, we're happy about that. But I think that there's a little bit more to unpack about the manner of, like, what he is learning.
I will say I agree with that. I love the time with his childhood, and obviously feeling like he has to go in this direction because of the actions of his father. I thought that was really, really powerful. And that's what I mean. There was a lot of nuance there. It just, for me, it didn't conclude with those things in mind. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's fair.
Where I felt all that. I agree with you. And I thought, wow, this is really powerful. This is going in a direction I didn't expect. It was the conclusion for me where I went, I liked the fact that they got back together, but I just thought in the end, it was like one phone call where he said, like, I realized it was about you all along. As much as I thought that was a nice moment, I needed more to deliver home that message. The fact that he did prioritize his career due to, his relationship with his father in his childhood, and, neglected his wife essentially in his relationship that he realized was the most important thing to him all along. And those elements did work well, but I just thought it could have concluded with a bigger punch to land that for me.
Yeah, no,
because it did ultimately feel like, oh, I realized I loved her. And that's what I mean. Upon initial sort of viewing, that's how I took it. And then it's only through thinking about it more that I realized a lot of the things that were set up during the film that were really powerful didn't quite get concluded in the way I wanted them to.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the most significant parts of the film is spider therapy. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yes. We all need a spider therapist.
Yeah, we need Paul Dano's voice and a giant spider to tell us what we're doing wrong in life.
I do.
Yeah, so I think, like, some of the most impactful moments were just, like, some of the flashbacks and then the conversations that he was having with, I forget the spider's name. Hanush.
Sorry.
Hanush. And I think in that respect, I thought that was where most of the majority of the emotional weight was in a lot of those conversations and a lot of those flashbacks. I agree with you that the conclusion is just kind of like him floating through an Alexa of, I don't know, visions and realizing that, like, he values interaction more than he's let off in past.
Did you get a bit of an Interstellar vibe from the ending? I'm just curious.
It's really funny that you say that. I haven't watched Interstellar.
You haven't? I forget about that.
Yeah.
When you watch Interstellar, I'd be curious to see if they're for very different messages, but it kind of ultimately sort of a lone astronaut kind of going in this world and seeing the world through his journey through space. It had a lot of similarities in my opinion.
Yeah. So I can't answer your question. I think it's really funny.
No, sorry, I forgot
that I'm hosting a damn film podcast.
You
and I
need
haven't
to
watched
watch Interstellar.
I'm gonna go off track really quickly here and talk about Interstellar. My fear is I'm gonna, like, one of two things. I'm gonna hate the movie, and then everyone's gonna prosecute me. Or the second one is, like, I'm just gonna think the movie's okay, and then everyone's been, like, hyping it up as, like, one of the best movies of all time, and I'm just gonna be like, it's fine.
I see that being more, because I feel like we have all hyped it up, but I think it deserves the hype it gets. I'm not gonna shy away and start talking more negatively about the film just to lower your expectations. It is as great as everyone says it is, but I think you are very much someone who likes to form their own opinion, and I just know that you're probably going to disagree with some of the incredible praise people are giving it as one of the best films ever made. Yeah. And I just know you coming out of it, it probably won't hit that hard, but I think it does for a lot of people. It does for me. But I'll be very curious to hear your thoughts because it's a beautiful film.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get back on track. I thought I'd clear that up for our audience who's wondering why is this idiot hosting a podcast if he has an Interstellar. I'm scared, okay? I'm scared. That's why. I need a space spider to tell me I can do it.
Let's talk about Hanush.
Yes.
What did you think of the design of the spider? Because it features quite prominently.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious of the design choice of the spider. What did you think of that? Because I guess it's not really explain why it's a spider, but I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts of it being a spider.
I kind of like it.
Or a spider design. Anyway.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I think we've seen like so many different forms of aliens and how they appear. I'm sure we'll talk about some of that in our next episode where we're talking about like Arrival and such. I don't know. I feel like I'm not too extreme with like alien designs because realistically, to the extent that there's life outside our planet, it can look like anything. Realistically,
we have no idea.
You got like the Simpsons, green with tentacles. Like if it's like that, then maybe I'm a little bit more bored. But I think it's interesting because it's the only thing that I'll comment on, and I don't know if this was their intentions or not. I'd like to think it is that it's touching on something that's initially meant to be fearful, like a spider, and then having it like as a very comforting character, and maybe it's like trying to address the idea that like we're fearful of interaction and the ideas of companionship, and then when presented with the absence of it, or even presented with like the value of it, we realize how significant it is. And I even felt that while watching it. Like I started off, I'm like, oh, that's a giant spider.
I'm not a spider fan.
Yeah.
And that isn't exactly how I felt. I actually was going, how much is this spider going to be in it? And then I kind of started loving the spider.
Yeah,
the spider was great.
That's what I mean. Like at the start, it's like, oh, big spider. And then like even like the way it talked, it was a little discerning. It was like, tiny human. Skinny human.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Why skinny human? Like, why was that the way you think the filmmakers decided to address Adam Sandler's character the whole time?
Maybe he lost some weight before filming. I don't know.
What you think they would? Adam Sandler was there like, yeah, but he has to do this because I wanted it acknowledged many times.
I think it's like a little bit more of a, if you're just talking like linguistically. Yeah. Calling someone skinny human as compared to like another defining feature, it makes him seem smaller.
Yeah.
In a sense, like you can't call him fat human because then it's just you're throwing an insult at someone.
No, but I was wondering why they didn't go like small human. I was just wondering because I've never heard skinny human be the reference before. That was all I was wondering.
Maybe it's a common phrase for spiders. I don't know.
You think that's how spiders look at us?
I was genuinely about to go and like deconstruct how like mythical creatures speak and like if it was tiny human, you're a giant, like a tiny human. And now you're talking to a human and you're a giant. And then I was thinking like, oh, like maybe the way the spider race would measure itself is in like its width and like its weight and mass as compared to like humans where we do see height and we do see like weight in the same respect. So then it's just generally his defining characteristic that he saw. Like he doesn't know to the extent that humans measure themselves. Like he couldn't be like tall human. He just thought like, but I think the general answer is that like skinny human just seems like a little bit more,
extraterrestrial?
Yeah, I think it's just like a way to like attach something to him and make him seem like less dangerous.
And
at the same time, it seems discerning at start. Like to call like it maybe it's like attributing it to like food. Like if you don't want to eat a skinny cow because it doesn't have as much meat on it.
That's kind of how I took it.
Yeah,
it's non-threatening while also being quite discerning.
Yes.
I will ask you. Do you think Hanush was real? We kind of saw that Adam Sandler was starting to hallucinate a bit. His diet wasn't the best. We learn a lot that he's not in the best mental state before Hanush comes. And Hanush comes at a moment where you could probably argue is at his worst. Do you think Hanush was real or was he just within the inner thoughts of Yak?
I want to give you the most annoying answer. It doesn't matter.
That's what the filmmakers, I think, want you to think.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Because
same outcome.
It's irrelevant to the story whether or not it was an imagined. I mean, the only like lingering impact that it might be if it's an imagined is there's two issues. If it's imagined, my boy's got some bad schizophrenia and he needs to talk to an actual therapist. If he's real, there's space spiders, and we might need to be concerned about them. I mean, they seem pretty chill, but like those are the two ramifications. But they're so like unimportant to the story. They're like I think the question. Well, interesting. I don't want to give it an answer. That's a cop-out as well. I just don't know.
There's reasons I think it could be in terms of I think the relationship that he builds with Hanush kind of shows that. I think as well sort of the fact that he imagines the spider coming out of his mouth in a dream, things like that. And I also think at one point the fact that he says yes to a therapist on the phone, but you never sort of see that therapy actually come to fruition.
Yeah.
Is also a little bit of an indicator either way. But again, I think the filmmakers don't want you to know, and it doesn't matter. It's about his journey, his arc in kind of figuring out how his actions within a relationship and things that mean the most to him.
Yeah.
And ultimately that, whether that was inside his head and his journey through that came from Hanush, or whether it was just something he was projecting, is interesting. I did think another little thing was that Hanush kind of found a lot of love for the hazelnut spread.
Yes.
The unbranded Nutella.
Yeah.
And I did like the moment in the end when it was shown that Jakob was thinking about someone other than himself to, in sort of a symbolic way by bringing the hazelnut spread to Hanush in his dying moments. And I thought that was quite a nice little moment between them because I love their relationship. I did think it grew quite well and naturally in the film. Another thing I'll say from a visual point of view that I couldn't talk about in the non-spoilers was I love the visuals in the flashbacks, in the memories.
Yeah.
Because they did it in a way that looked like the perspective of a spider's eye.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And I thought that was really well done because you could kind of see that Hanush was the one provoking these memories. But, it was, whilst it was from Adam Sandler's perspective, it was sort of through the eyes of Hanush. Because you're kind of trying to learn about this character the same as Hanush is. Hanush is kind of the perspective of the story.
Yeah.
In a way, where you're trying to learn these things from Adam Sandler and trying to understand the motivations behind his actions.
We're all Hanush.
We are all Hanush. And we all need a Hanush.
What if there was a spider crawling on you right now?
I'm not going to talk to it like Adam Sandler does. That thing is being swatted away and probably stumped. Sorry, I'm just not a spider guy.
Jeez.
I'm not a spider guy. No, I would put a little paper sheet and a cup over it and I'd put it outside in the backyard. That's what I'd do.
It's very brave of you.
Thank you.
All right,
it has been said.
Are we getting to our ratings there?
Yeah, let's rate it.
So why don't you go first?
I think if we were doing half stars,
Stars.
half claps,
We clap here, baby.
we only clap on the Clap podcast.
Jesus. Continue. Just continue.
I would probably, if we did half claps, I'd probably give it 6.5. But I did enjoy this film, and I thought it had some good performances. I like Paul Dano as Hanush, and I thought there were a lot of really important messages, and I love the relationship elements besides the core conclusion to that arc.
Yeah.
That would be my main criticism, that I thought it didn't stick the landing as well as I wanted it to, but I love the elements that it set up, and I thought it was a new perspective on a story set in space. Ultimately, I'm going to give it 7 claps out of 10.
Okay, yeah.
That is what I would give it. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I agree with most of what we've said. I'm just meaner than you. I'm giving it 6 claps.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's not a bad film. Like, go watch it if it interests you. It's on streaming. Like, it's easy enough to watch. It's not a hugely long film. So I would softly recommend it if it's something that interests you.
I feel the same way. I think go watch it if you're interested in sort of a relationship drama set in space.
Yep.
And I think that there's also a lot of unique elements. So if you're just interested in film and sort of the direction Netflix is going with their films as well, because, there's been a lot of news about how the streamers are kind of making films surrounded by the ideas of how often people goes on their phone and stuff like that. I feel like this film doesn't do that. And it very much creates an atmosphere that if you're in the mood for it, could really work.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that one out. Go check that one out on Netflix.
Got there.
I got there in the end. Go check that one out on Netflix if you're interested in that idea.
Yep.
It is available now.
Yes, and I think that brings this episode to its end. We hope you have enjoyed everything. We have another episode coming out soon. It's going to be about Denis
Villeneuve.
That's the one. So you're going to be hearing Frosty absolutely indulge himself over his favorite director and me annoy him by saying how bad everything is.
Looking forward to it.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much.